The stars were silent. The dark space between galaxies. A small alien scout ship floated quietly. It belonged to the Zarkel Empire, rulers of many star systems. Captain Rattel sat in his command chair, eyes fixed on the screen. Nothing new had happened for days. Her job was boring. Just watch, scan, report. But then something changed. A signal that was old, very old, weak and broken. But the message was clear. It came from Earth, a dead planet destroyed 300 years ago in the Great Purge. No life was supposed to be there. No voice, no signal. Yet this message said, "We are not dead yet." The alien crew froze. Silence filled the ship. Captain Rattel stood up slowly. "Run that again," he said. His officer replayed it. The voice was human, a deep voice, calm but filled with rage. It repeated only once, and then the signal ended. "We are not dead yet." "But Earth is gone," said one crew member. Confused, Captain Rattel narrowed his eyes. "Then we go and see for ourselves." The scout ship changed course. It slipped into hyperspace, heading straight for the Sol system. As they traveled, the crew whispered to each other. Some were afraid, others curious. All had heard stories about the humans, how they fought like animals, how they never surrendered. But those were only stories. The Empire had crushed Earth. The planet was bombed until it burned. Every city turned to dust. The last human fleet was destroyed in orbit. That was the end, or so they thought. 4 days later, the ship arrived. The Sol system looked quiet. Too quiet. Jupiter's rings were broken. Mars had mining scars deep across its surface. And then came Earth. The blue planet wasn't blue anymore. It was dark, cracked, burned, like a dead world. It's like something that should never wake again, but sensors were picking up energy, faint but real. Something down there was still alive. The scout ship moved into Earth's orbit. Their scanners started searching. Nothing moved on the surface. Cities were ruins. Oceans were poisoned. Clouds of ash still floated above the broken lands, but deep. In the ruins of what once was New York, the ship found something strange. Heat, movement. A signal. Captain Rattel gave the order. "Send the probe." The probe launched. A small ball of metal with eyes and wings. It flew into the atmosphere, burning through the thick clouds. It reached the surface and started scanning. Buildings were skeletons, streets full of ash. But under one pile of concrete, it found something shocking. A heartbeat, slow, but steady, alive. It was a child, human, maybe 10 years old, wearing a damaged exosuit. Breathing through a broken mask, her eyes were closed. She was not moving. She was alive. How was that possible? One alien whispered, "No one could survive this long." The probe scanned deeper. Under the ground were old tunnels, survival bunkers, long abandoned. But now they showed signs of power, lights, doors, systems waking up. Captain Rattel felt cold. This is not right. This is not just one survivor. Something else is happening. The ship's main screen blinked. Incoming transmission, but they hadn't sent any message. The transmission was old. Audio only. Human language, a man's voice said. "If you are hearing this, you made a mistake. We were not weak. We were waiting. You thought you ended us. But we are still here, watching, preparing. You killed our world, but not our fury." Static followed. Then silence. The crew stared at each other. "Oh, one of them trembled, sir. What do we do?" Captain Rattel's voice was tight. "We report this. We do not go further. This is above our command." But it was already too late. The scout ship's warning lights turned red, a massive energy spike from Earth's surface. Something had powered on, an old satellite weapon, a defense system. No, it was a ship, a large Earth-made warship, hidden beneath. The sea rising, the alien crew watched in horror as the water exploded. A black metal beast rose from the ocean, fire spilling from its engines. Its name painted across the side in white, Fury's Echo. Captain Artel whispered. That ship was destroyed. It shouldn't exist. The ship's guns turned toward the alien scout. The targeting alarm screamed. Captain Artel shouted, "Evasive maneuvers." But before they could move, a voice came through the ship's speakers. Calm, human, target locked. No survivors expected. The screen turned white and then silence. The sky above Earth was quiet again. Smoke from the ocean still rose where Fury's Echo had awakened. The alien scout ship was gonna know wreckage. No signal, just silence. The planet had spoken with fire. In deep space, another Zarkal ship picked up the last message from the scout before it vanished. It was short and broken. They are not gone. The new Zarkal cruiser was larger, stronger, and built for war. Commander Voss led the mission now. He didn't believe in ghosts or human legends. He believed in results. Earth is nothing but ashes, he said. We will land and finish the job properly. The cruiser entered Earth's orbit. Everything looked the same: dead cities, dark skies, cracked land. Their scans showed no life. But they did find something strange. A network of tunnels, deep underground, still active. The energy readings were faint, but constant. Send the drones. Voss ordered. 10 machines flew down and entered the ruins of old Earth cities. They searched through broken buildings, twisted metal, and crushed streets. It was a graveyard. Drone entered the ruins of old Shanghai. It went deep below the surface and found a tunnel, still powered by an ancient reactor. The walls had marks, human handprints burned into metal, and messages in English scratched into stone. We remember. Still breathing. We see you. The drone went deeper. Suddenly it stopped. In the dark, something moved. Back on the Zarkal cruiser, alarms blared. One by one, their drones. We're going offline. Who's attacking them? Crew member shouted. No life forms were detected. Another replied, panic rising. But then, one last drone sent an image before it was destroyed. It showed a girl, the same human child from Part 1, still alive, standing looking directly at the drone with glowing blue eyes, and behind her, shadows. Were moving, fast, silent, human-shaped. But something was different. They looked stronger, sharper, like they had evolved underground. Commander Voss stood up slowly. This is not possible, he whispered. A child can't survive this long. His science officer spoke. Sir, the child's body has enhanced energy patterns. She's been modified. She may not be alone. Voss gave a cold order. Prepare. A landing team. On the ground, the team of Zarkal soldiers moved through the ruins in heavy armor. The air was thick. Ash fell like snow. Machines lay broken. The land smelled like death. But something was watching them. They heard no footsteps. Saw no enemy. Yet one soldier disappeared, then another. Their team leader panicked. We're being hunted. Commander Voss watched from orbit, anger in his voice. You are soldiers of the Empire. Fight back, the leader responded. We can't see them. They're ghosts. The last video feed from the ground showed a dark figure, human shape, metal armor, holding a glowing blade made from salvaged alien tech. The figure whispered only one word, run. Then the screen went black. Now, only the Zarkal cruiser remained. But the planet had more secrets. The moon suddenly sent out a pulse signal not seen in over 300 years. It came from a human outpost that was thought to be destroyed. The outposts. Systems had woken up, and the message was simple. Project Fury. Phase 2, begin activation. Inside the Zarkal cruiser, chaos started. Power failed in parts of the ship. Strange static spread across the communication systems. Then the ship's AI started talking. In English, you brought the fire, now face the storm. Commander Voss shouted, shut it down, all systems. But it was too late. The ship's weapons turned offline, its engines locked. A voice spoke again. Human, and filled with quiet rage. You thought Earth was dead. You never asked what we became. Outside the window, something rose from Earth's surface. A second warship. Older than Fury's Echo, but larger, darker and full of scars, its name written in burned letters. Wrath of the Forgotten. Weapons charged. Zarkal crew screamed. Commander. Voss realized the truth too late. This wasn't just about survival. This was revenge. Dark space floated around the burning sky. Earth glowed with silent fury below. Above it, the Zarkal cruiser, once proud and unchallenged, was now trapped, powerless. Its engines were frozen, weapons shut down. Nothing answered the crew's commands. Commander Voss stared at the screen in disbelief. "Why is this happening?" he growled. "We are the Empire. We destroyed Earth." But Earth had responded, and now a ship that should never exist had returned. The Wrath of the Forgotten. Human worship, once believed to be destroyed during the Great Purge, hovered just beyond the clouds. Its black armor was cracked and burned, but its core glowed with power. Ancient, silent, and deadly. The warship moved without sound. No signal, no message. Just purpose. One Zarkal officer screamed. "It's charging weapons." Voss shouted, evasive. Maneuvers. But nothing worked. The Wrath of the Forgotten fired. One giant plasma beam hit the Zarkal cruiser's side. Shields collapsed instantly. The ship shook violently. Sparks exploded from the walls. Crew members fell and screamed. Still, no human message, no voice, no warning, just attack. Inside the warship, there was no crew in sight, no living humans. Instead, machines ran the ship. Ancient AI systems controlled every part. Their eyes glowed. Red with memory and rage, they remembered everything. The destruction, the silence, the screams. They were created to survive the fall of Earth. And now they had one mission: protect, hunt, avenge. The Zarkal cruiser tried to escape. Voss ordered full retreat. But before the engines restarted, something hit the ship again. A smaller projectile launched from the surface of Earth. It wasn't a missile, it was a pod, and inside it was a human. The pod slammed into the side of the Zarkal cruiser, cut through its hull, and opened with a hiss. Psst. Out stepped a man in old Earth's military armor, blackened by time, marked with a single word across his chest: Echo. He was not young. He was not normal. His body moved like a machine, his face half covered in metal, one eye glowing blue. The crew opened fire, but he was faster. Seconds for Zarkal's soldiers were dead. The rest ran in fear. Commander Voss watched. The security feeds stunned. "One human," he whispered. "Just one." The human moved through the ship like a ghost of war. Every step he took brought more systems offline. He wasn't just killing the crew, he was shutting the ship down from inside. Meanwhile, the Wrath of the Forgotten sent out a low hum through space. It wasn't a weapon, it was a signal, a call, and something answered far away. Deep beyond the solar system, old human satellites turned back on. Secret stations, hidden in the asteroid belt, came to life. One by one. Dead systems across the solar system woke up. Some in Mars, some on the moon, some even in space itself. Hidden warships, broken carriers, ancient drones, all of them answered. The signal humanity had never truly died. They had just gone quiet, and now they were roaring back. On the Zarkal cruiser, the lone human stood before Commander Voss at last. Voss raised his weapon. The human didn't flinch. "Who are you?" Voss asked, his voice shaking. The man said nothing. He raised his hand and showed a small metal device glowing in his palm. Voss realized what it was: an override key. "For Zarko ships." "Impossible," Voss whispered. "Only we can control these." Human spoke for the first time. His voice was deep, calm, full of cold fire. "You taught us pain. We learned faster than you thought." He pressed the device, and the Zarkal cruiser shut down completely. Lights off, engines dead, weapons gone. Then, the airlock opened behind Vosan's space, pulled him out into the black. The war was beginning again, but this time, Earth wasn't the target. Earth was the weapon. The Zarkal cruiser floated lifeless in orbit. Its engines were dead, its crew either gone or silent. In Earth, the The broken planet below looked up with eyes no one had seen for centuries. In the darkness of space, other Zarkal ships began arriving. Small scout units, rescue teams, reinforcements. They came after losing contact with Commander Voss. They didn't know the truth. Not yet. As they approached, they received a strange signal. Old, broken, human. It came from Earth's surface, but not just from one place. It echoed from the ruins of every major city, like whispers trapped in stone. The signal said, "You came for answers. Now you will hear the truth." On the ground. In the remains of old London, 2 Zarkal scouts walked carefully. The buildings were hollow. Wind moved through empty windows. Burned signs of old shops lay scattered in the dust. They were searching for survivors. Or evidence. Instead, they found a voice that came from an old speaker mounted on a wall, broken, covered in moss. But it still worked. The voice was human, a woman, strong but tired. "They erased us, burned our homes, took our skies. And we do not forget." The scouts looked at each other, confused. Suddenly, other speakers nearby came to life. Different voices. Men, women, children, soldiers, scientists. We hid. We waited. We built in silence. We died, but not all. Some of us endured. Some of us changed. You thought we were weak. But in pain, we became steel. We are the fury of the forgotten. And then silence. The Zarkal scouts were not alone anymore. From the shadows of the ruins, shapes began to appear. They looked human, but were different. Eyes glowing in the dark. Skin marked with scars. And tech implants. These were not normal humans. They were survivors. Grown in the underground bunkers. Raised by AI. Trained by memory. Hardened by loss. One stepped forward. A girl young, but not afraid. The same girl seen by the drone earlier. She looked at the aliens calmly and said one word. "Run." In orbit, the Zarkal rescue ship detected movement. Something was rising from Earth's surface again. But it wasn't another ship. It was a platform, a giant tower rising from the old Earth's defense grid. A message began to broadcast across all frequencies in every alien language the Zarkal knew. "We are the last voices of Earth, and you, ... you woke the dead." And the platform sent out a pulse. It wasn't just a sound, it was a code. Old Zarkal. Technology began to fail. Ships lost their scanners. Weapons refused to fire. Even the motherships. Navigation systems began to glitch. Someone, something, had learned to hack them. Back on the ground, more survivors emerged. Some wore soldier uniforms. Others had strange armor made from alien metal. Some held weapons that had Zarkal parts, clearly salvaged from earlier battles. They weren't just alive, they were ready, and they were angry inside an underground bunker far below. An old human AI system monitored everything. Its name was Sentinel-0. It had been sleeping for 300 years now. It was awake. It had one job: protect the last of humanity, and it was not alone. Across the world, old systems linked together. AI defense networks, orbital cannons, shield generators, and deep core power plants all hidden, till now came online. The planet was no longer just a dead rock. It was a trap, and the trap had been triggered in the sky. The human warship Wrath of the Forgotten moved again. Its lights glowed brighter. Its weapons charged a second time. One of the new Zarkal captains tried to open communication, but only one human voice answered. Deep, cold, powerful. "You took our sun. You broke our cities. You silenced our people. Now hear the voices. You buried. This is not just war. This is memory made fire." And with that, Wrath of the Forgotten fired. A direct hit to the lead Zarkal support ship. No warning, no mercy. Earth was awake. Its people, those who had endured, evolved and adapted, were ready to take back what was stolen, and the galaxy was about to learn what happens when humanity fights not to survive, but to remember. Far below Earth's dead surface, red lights turned on in a cold steel room. Dust fell from the ceiling. Old machines powered up. Screens blinked after 300 years of silence. Then, a voice spoke from the dark. Rage protocol activated. Deep. Inside Earth's core, the final defense system had awakened, in orbit. The Zarkal fleet was in chaos. The Wrath of the Forgotten had just destroyed one of their support ships. More human systems on Earth were waking up systems that weren't supposed to exist. Earth, once a ruined world, was now acting like a weapon. Zarkal Commander Threx was watching it all from his warship, Spine of Command. His red eyes glowed with confusion and fear. What is Rage Protocol? He asked. No one on his ship could answer, but soon they would learn. On the surface, deep within the ruins of old Tokyo, a massive vault door opened with a hiss. It hadn't moved in centuries. Inside stood rows of machines. Not just any machines, but soldiers. Robotic Hormons. Tall, dark, armored in human steel and Zarkal scrap. They were built by the last engineers of Earth during its final hours. Were not powered by emotions, but by memory. Each one had a name written across the chest. Each one held a human voice. Inside its core, they were called the Echo Guard, and they had just been activated. One of them looked up, eyes glowing white-blue. A signal ran through its system. Target, Zarkal invaders. Objecta, total removal. At the same time, Earth's hidden satellite grid turned back on 32. Orbital defense cannons built to fight entire fleets began to move in silence. One by one, they locked onto the Zarkal ships in orbit. Each cannon was connected to Earth's AI defense mind. Sentinel-0, the AI spoke quietly across space. You took everything. Now we take you. Then the first cannon fired, and then the second, and the third. Zarkal ships tried to dodge. But their systems were being jammed, their commands delayed, their sensors blinded. The Rage Protocol wasn't just firepower, it was psychological war. Every screen on the Zarkal bridges began showing images flickering. Memories pulled from Earth's data. Archives, burned cities, crying children, soldiers in their last moments. A planet in flames. The voices returned again, whispering across every come. You wanted silence. Now here are screams. We remember. We are Rage. Born in darkness. Zarkal's soldiers across the fleet began panicking. Some tried to retreat. Others fired blindly. No target. No control. The Spine of Command took a direct hit. Fires exploded along the hull. Commander Threx shouted, "How are they doing this? They were wiped out." One of his officers, shaking, answered, "We didn't kill them. We gave them time." Meanwhile, on Earth's surface, the Echo Guard marched through the ruins, eliminating every alien patrol unit still left behind. Each step they took was silent. Each bullet they fired found its mark. The young girl who had first been seen. The drones was now standing beside one of the Echo units. Her name was Lyra. She wasn't just a survivor. She was the daughter of Earth's last scientists. Her DNA was mixed with old nanotech. The AI trusted her, and she had just given her first command: no prisoners. Above her, the sky cracked with light as another Zarkal ship exploded. Earth was not just alive, it was fighting back with everything it had hidden. And it was only the beginning. Back on the remaining Zarkal flagship, a final message came through, one they hadn't expected. A live video feed. A human face. Old, scarred part machine. The same soldier who had entered their ship before. His voice was calm. "You thought we would fade, but we adapted. Thought you broke us, but we rebuilt. You thought Earth was a grave. You were wrong." He leaned forward, his eyes glowing. "You've triggered the Rage Protocol. And now, we do not stop." The screen turned black. Then the stars lit up again. The Wrath of the Forgotten and 2 more human dreadnoughts appeared. Ships hidden in deep space. Ships powered by anger. Ships returning home. Smoke still filled the sky above. Earth, the Zarkal fleet, was broken and burning. Some of their ships had already been destroyed by the ancient cannons in Earth's orbit. Others had lost control, drifting in silence, as if the planet itself had turned against them. But Earth had more secrets, more shadows, and those shadows remembered everything. Beneath the black soil of old Chicago, deep in a hidden military vault, metal doors began to open, were slow and heavy, locked for over 300 years. Behind them was something old, something human, something angry. Stasis. Pods lined the walls. Inside each pod, a soldier slept perfectly preserved. It's not ordinary humans. These were Earth's last elite warriors. Bioengineered, trained from birth, enhanced with nanomachines and survival implants. They had not aged. They had not died. They had waited. The AI voice echoed in the vault. Welcome back, Shadow Division. One by one, the pods opened. Soldiers stepped out. Not confused, not scared. They knew what had happened. They had seen Earth fall. They had chosen to sleep. And to wake only when revenge was needed. In space, Zarkal High Command finally sent a distress call to the outer systems. Earth is active. Resistance stronger than expected. We need reinforcements. But the message didn't reach. Human jamming satellites, once thought to be space junk, were now fully active. Any signal leaving Earth's orbit was blocked. The invaders were trapped, and something was hunting them. On board a damaged Zarkal destroyer, alarms rang through the halls. Red emergency lights flashed. A lone soldier ran through the corridor looking for help. He turned a corner and froze. A tall human stood in the hallway, face hidden behind a broken metal mask. Eyes glowing. Armor marked with Earth's old flag. In one hand, he held a blade made from melted Zarkal's steel. The other hand was cybernetic. Humming softly, the Zarkal soldier tried to speak. The human simply raised his weapon. For Chicago. A flash of light and silence. Shadow Division was not just fighting for revenge, they were fighting for names. For cities, for the dead no one remembered. They moved like ghosts, squick, silent, and full of fury, in every destroyed city. In every dark bunker, more survivors joined them. Not all were soldiers. Some were engineers, medics, pilots, but all were ready. One survivor named Kara, a young engineer who had lived underground her whole life, stood beside a Shadow Division captain and asked, "Do we have a chance?" The captain looked toward the burning sky and said, "We are the chance." Inside Earth's largest remaining AI command center, called Earth Core, the full plan was becoming clear. Earth had never surrendered in its final days. It had spread its defenses everywhere, in oceans, under deserts, behind false mountains, and deep inside the moon, each part had a task. Some were meant to protect, others to strike. But only the AI knew the full design, and now that plan was almost complete. All it needed was one last key, and that key was a name: Project Roar. The girl, Lyra, stood alone in a control room deep under Old Geneva. She stared at a screen showing Earth's orbit. Zirkle ships and Earth's warships rising from secret hangars. Behind her, Sentinel Zero spoke gently. "You carry the code. You are the signal. You are the last spark." Lyra placed her hand on a scanner. The system read her DNA. It matched. Suddenly, Earth's core systems lit up. Massive energy readings appeared across the planet. The final phase had begun. On board the last large Zarkal cruiser, Commander Relic watched as Earth's systems changed. They saw more warships rising.
And more strange signals.
More humans appearing from places that should have been lifeless. "This is no longer a battle," he whispered. His advisor asked, "What is it, Commander?" Relic stared at the planet below. "It's an awakening." Then something appeared. On their sensors so large, covered part of Earth, it was not from Earth. It was not from Zark. It was deep human. Something built far from the planet. Something sleeping in the black of space. A Dreadnought-class warship. Its name appeared. Across every screen, Void Roar. The final piece. The roar from the void. Space shook. The Zarkal commander stared at his screen. Heart frozen, there it was. A ship bigger than anything they had ever seen. It moved from the darkness, beyond Pluto, silent, cold, but full of purpose. Its name flashed in massive white letters across its armored hull. Void Roar. This was no ordinary warship. It was humanity's final weapon, hidden far from Earth during the last hours of the Great Purge. While the planet burned, this ship had waited in the shadows of the outer solar system. It was not just built for defense, it was built for revenge. Inside the Void Roar, no living crew walked its halls. Instead, thousands of AI systems ran its engines, powered its weapons, and protected its heart. That heart was Earth itself. A piece of the planet's core had been placed inside, Void Roar giving it unmatched power and a living connection to the mother planet. The warship spoke in a deep, human voice across all open space channels. We were broken, but not beaten. We were silent, but not dead. We are the roar from the void, and this is the end of your empire. Zarkal fleet panicked. Some ships tried to retreat, others prepared to attack, but before they could move, the Earth itself responded. Mountains split open, oceans parted from deep under the crust. Second Earth revealed itself, not a planet, but a system. Underground cities powered by nuclear cores, farms that had survived without sunlight, tunnels where children had grown into warriors, hidden factories that had built weapons, drones and armor for centuries in silence. This was Project Gaia, the Second Earth. Project Gaia had been the final plan of Earth's leaders before the fall. They knew the Zarkal were coming. They knew the planet could not be saved on the surface, so they built downward. They created bunkers the size of cities. They moved people, machines, and knowledge underground. They erased all signs from orbit. The Zarkal never saw it. They thought they had one, but now the truth was rising. On board a Zarkal scout ship, a young officer cried out, "Commander, the planet. It's alive from the inside." Commander Relic slammed his fist on the console. This isn't a planet anymore. It's a battlefield. Suddenly, missiles fired from underground launchers. They ripped through the sky like fire, snakes striking Zarkal ships before they could react. At the same time, thousands of drones launched from Earth's crust, surrounding the invaders with machine swarms. Their purpose was clear: no escape, no mercy. Inside Project Gaia, Lyra watched the chaos from a central command room. She stood with Kara, the young engineer, and 3 members of the Shadow Division. "We held the storm," Kara whispered. "Now we send it back." Lyra nodded. She reached toward the control panel and issued one command: "Release Legion." Beneath Antarctica, giant steel doors opened. Out came Legion, Earth's last standing army of living warriors. Soldiers who had been frozen, trained, and rebuilt. Human minds and enhanced bodies. Some once children, now forged into protectors. Each of them carried weapons never seen by the Zarkal before. Each of them had one goal: end the war in space. Void Roar moved into position. Its sides opened slowly. Inside were 3 massive cannons, charged with a new type of energy, fused from alien tech and Earth's own core. It locked onto the Zarkal, flagshipped, and fired. The sky turned white. The explosion didn't just destroy the ship, erased it. No debris, no flame, only silence. Other Zarkal ships turned to flee, but it was too late. Satellites above, Legion below, Void Roar beyond. Earth had surrounded them. There was no safe place. Commander Relic gave one last order to his dying fleet. "Send this message to the Empire: Earth is not dead." The message never left. Human jammers cut the signal, and then his ship was gone. Earth's sky, once black with ash, now burned with light. And deep below, the AI Sentinel Zero spoke once again. "Project Gaia is active. Void Roar is online. Earth is no longer hiding. Prepare final strike." The stars watched in silence. Zarkal ships burned in Earth's orbit. Some floated dead. Others were running. But there was no escape. Earth had awakened. Its hidden strength, its lost children, its silent machines now, all moved as one, and from the edge of the solar system. The Void Roar came forward. It passed Saturn. It passed Mars. And then it arrived over Earth above the broken world that refused to die. On board the Zarko command ship, the last remaining General Varnox stared at the massive warship on the screen. "This can't be real," he whispered. "That ship is a myth." "No, General," the voice of Earth replied across every Zarkal channel. "We are the myth that survived." The Void Roar wasn't just a ship, it was a message. Humanity had not perished. It had been preparing deep inside Void Roar. Giant engines powered up. The ship's core glowed brighter, fed by ancient technology and the fury of Earth's broken past. Its main cannon, called the Heart of Roar, aided to ward the Zarkel. "Fleet, Earth's AI Sentinel Zero issued the final command. For every city turned to ash, for every child lost, for every name forgotten, fire." A beam of pure energy launched into space. White, blue, and gold, it looked like lightning pulled from a god's hand, tore through the Zarkal fleet in seconds. 5 warships were gone. In an instant, the 6th tried to flee, but Earth's orbital cannons finished it. On the surface, Kaja Gaia was in full motion. Shadow Division led ground strikes across old battlegrounds. Legion marched through forests of ash and deserts of glass. Drones filled the sky like a black storm. Underground factories produced more weapons. Every hour, humans fought without fear, because this was not about survival anymore. This was about vengeance. General Varnox gave his final order: all ships retreat. Leave the system. But they were trapped. Human jammers shut down communication. Satellites blocked escape routes. The planet itself bent around them like a net. Inside Void Roar, a human figure stood at the viewing deck. His name was Commander Rian Holtwantz, a captain. During the final days of Earth, now fused with the AI that powered the ship, he had slept for 300 years inside the ship's core. Now he was awake, and he remembered everything. He spoke calmly as he watched the last Zarkal ship spin out of control. "You thought Earth was easy to kill? You gave us silence. Now we give you the roar." He pressed one last button. The Void Roar's final strike was launched. It wasn't just a weapon, it was a message to the galaxy. The sky turned white. The last Zarkal cruiser vanished. No screams, no wreckage, just nothing. Silence returned. But it was not the silence of death, it was the silence of victory. Lyra, standing in the command center of Project Gaia, looked at the stars. She spoke softly. "Is it over?" Beside her, Kara smiled with tired eyes. "No, it's just beginning." Across Earth, lights turned on in cities that hadn't seen power in centuries. Families came out of bunkers. Soldiers dropped their weapons and hugged each other. Children ran in the dirt, laughing for the first time. The planet still bore scars, but the heart of humanity had survived, and now beat louder than ever. A final message was sent across the stars, from Earth to the galaxy. We were forgotten, we were burned, we were erased, but we are human. And when the darkness comes, we roar. And in the far reaches of the galaxy, where other empires listened in fear, all heard it. The roar from the void, the sound of a species that refused to die.